Maybe you've also watched a TED Talk and thought, I wish I could speak with that kind of confidence. Because TED speakers don't just speak, they connect deeply with the audience. But they weren't born that way. This art of speaking is the result of years of hard work and consistent practice. Carmine Gallo, a communication expert, studied over 500 TED Talks, and he found that all successful speakers had 3 things in common: novelty, emotion, and memorability. Novelty, something new, something different. People remember things that stand out from the crowd, so next time you speak, make an impact not just with your words, but with your presence. Wear something a little different, something that sets you apart. Just like Steve Jobs, he never needed a formal suit, yet people still remember him. It's not about what you wear, it's about what message you're trying to send. Is your audience made up of teenagers? Are you delivering a serious message? Do you want to appear professional or friendly? Every situation has its own dress code. But the goal should always be the same: to look memorable. Emotion, words that come straight from the heart. The soul of every memorable speech lies in its emotions. If you aren't passionate about your message, why would your audience believe in it? Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech still moves hearts. Why? Because he spoke from his pain. His voice trembled, his eyes filled with tears. Because he wasn't just talking about an issue. He had lived that pain. So when you speak, don't just read a script. Feel the experience, your tone, your eyes, your body language. They will all reveal what you're feeling inside. And most importantly, be true to yourself. TED speakers don't imitate others. They speak from the heart. That's why when they stand on stage, it feels like they're genuinely talking to us, not just giving a speech. When you're authentic, your words come alive. Whether you're a psychologist, a doctor, or an economist, people will feel what you say. Being memorable, how to become a speaker. People never forget. Remember that iconic line by Martin Luther King Jr.? "I have a dream." Just one sentence. But the moment we hear it, the emotion, the context, and the purpose all come flooding back. That's the magic of powerful lines. Your speech also needs one strong line, one that etches itself into people's hearts and minds. Ancient secrets. The origins of public speaking. Carmine Gallo explains how public speaking began with ancient Greek and Roman civilizations. Orators back then were so powerful, people saw them as gods. They broke down persuasion into 3 parts. Logos, the logic in your words. Ethos, your credibility and authenticity. Pathos, the emotion in your message. Mastering this triangle can turn any speech into a legendary one. Ethos, your credibility is your identity. Ethos means trust. Why should people believe you? 2 things are essential. Real proof. Don't just share opinions. Back your message with facts, data, and visuals. For example, a statistic that stuns, a graph that makes the truth clear, a study that strengthens your claim. Remember, a single image can sometimes speak louder than 1,000 words, personal character. But more important than charts is you. How you look, how you speak, and what your body language says. People see you before they hear your words. Sometimes, just your presence builds ethos. Someone wearing glasses might seem like a scientist. A bald man might be seen as a don. Appearances can be misleading, but used smartly, they can work in your favor. Audience matters. Know who you're talking to. Every audience is different. A business crowd expects seriousness. At a political event, people want claps more than logic. So it's crucial to understand your audience and tailor your ethos strategy accordingly. Presenting yourself the right way is half the battle won. Logos. When your words connect to the mind. Logos means logic, reasoning, and rationality. In simple terms, are your ideas rooted in facts or just opinions? Carmine Gallo says, your conclusions should logically follow from your data. This becomes critical when you're speaking to a highly educated or analytical audience. In such settings, emotion alone isn't enough. You need facts and arguments. Let's say you're speaking at a school about the dangers of drug use. There are 2 types of speakers. First says, don't take drugs, kids, they're bad for you. Second says, hundreds of studies have shown that psychoactive drugs like MDMA can cause permanent brain damage. Now ask yourself, who leaves a stronger impact? Logic isn't just about argument, it supports your credibility. But beware, if your logic has flaws, people might reject everything else you say. That's why a TED-style speech must be built with clear reasoning and strong data. Pathos, when your words come from the heart. Now we arrive at the most important element, pathos, or emotional connection. Even Carmine Gallo admits, you can survive with logos and ethos, but without pathos, you'll never touch hearts. In today's diverse world, empathy and emotional connection matter more than ever before. How to build strong. Pathos, share a personal story in your talk. Involve someone from the audience. Connect with their pain, joy, or journey. When you speak from the heart, that energy spreads across the entire room. And that is the kind of moment that makes a speech truly unforgettable. The TED Talk Formula by Carmine Gallo. Carmine Gallo shares a powerful formula: 65% pathos, emotional impact, 25% logos, logical argument, 10% ethos, credibility. In short, lead with emotion, follow with logic, support with identity. Because unless you are inspired first, right now or nears, you'll never be able to inspire others. Extreme moments, when your story silences the room. When you share something personal, raw, and intense, your audience is instantly drawn in. Take Scott Dinsmore's TED Talk. He shared a moment during a stormy night. He had to swim from Alcatraz to the mainland despite being afraid of water. The cold, the waves, everything made it terrifying. But then he saw a child drowning. He saved the boy. And years later, that same boy, now in a wheelchair, met him again. This wasn't just a story, it was a human experience that completely shifted his perspective. Moments like these ignite pathos and make your speech truly unforgettable. Innovative statistics, when numbers speak to the heart. Let's talk about sharing data creatively, saying 200 million people die from malaria each year is a fact, sure. But does it grab attention? Not really. Now here's what Bill Gates did in his TED Talk. He released a small jar of mosquitoes into the crowd, then calmly said, "Don't worry, these mosquitoes aren't infected." But the real question is, did it matter to you? The room was stunned. Malaria wasn't just a statistic anymore. It became a personal threat. That's the power of extreme plus novel presentation. Visual power. When data is seen, not just heard, to make his message even more powerful, Gates used world maps and striking visuals. He showed, in developed countries, malaria is no longer an issue. In developing nations, millions still die from it. One map said more than 1,000 words ever could. Joe Smith, making stats relatable. To promote environmental awareness, Joe Smith shared a simple yet sharp stat. If everyone used just one less paper towel, we could save 500 million pounds of paper every year. No emotional story. Just one relatable and actionable fact, and that made it stick. Presentation is a story, not a slide. Dec Carmine Gallo asks a powerful question. What do you do before opening PowerPoint? Most people would say, I open PowerPoint. Wrong start. Before you open your laptop, you should be building your speech like a compelling story, the way a movie director plans every scene. Once your storyline is in place, then whether it includes data, visuals, or stories, that's when the real magic begins. 18 minutes. The human brain's limit. Psychologists working with TED found something remarkable. 18 minutes is the sweet spot, where the human brain stays focused with this desai without getting tired. Chris Anderson, TED's curator, says, 18 minutes is long enough to be serious and short enough to hold attention. And think about it, even a coffee break is 18 minutes long. You can watch a TED Talk, share it, and if it hits the right nerve, it might just go viral. Discipline is power. When a speaker is forced to compress a 45-minute talk into just 18 minutes, they're pushed to ask, what's truly essential? What can I cut out? How do I deliver this in a way that hits straight to the heart? From this limitation comes clarity and creativity. Carmine Gallo calls it a discipline exercise, because speakers must remember, too much input tires the listener. This phenomenon is called cognitive backlog. When the brain is so overloaded, it stops processing altogether. Dr. Paul King studied this and found students who attended 3 one-hour presentations retained more than those who sat through one long 3-hour lecture. That's why TED Talks are short, sharp, and striking. Historical proof. Greatness doesn't need an hour. Let's go back in time. John F. Kennedy's iconic line, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country," came from a speech that was only 15 minutes long. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream." Just 17 minutes, yet it shook the world. Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement speech, only 15 minutes. And it still inspires millions on YouTube. Great speeches, massive impact, all under 20 minutes. 3 topics maximum. The secret to memory. Let's talk about how the brain remembers. We don't retain random facts, we remember emotion and structure. Example, try remembering 661944. Tough, right? But think of it as June 6th, 1944, D-Day. And it clicks instantly. This same rule applies to presentations. That's why TED curators recommend a simple guideline. Stick to just 3 main ideas per talk. The magical number 7, the brain's processing limit. George Miller, a Harvard psychologist, discovered the human brain can only process 7 units at once. So, don't cram more than 9 points into a graph. Don't overload your slides with bullet points. Keep it to 3 core ideas and explain them from the heart. Final thought, less isn't just more. It's powerful. The next time you say to yourself, "I only have 18 minutes," realize that's satani. That's not a limitation, it's an opportunity. An opportunity to focus your thoughts, sharpen your message, connect emotionally, logically, and visually with your audience. Conclusion, how to deliver a truly memorable speech. Now that you've learned it all, one thing is crystal clear. A memorable presentation isn't just a speech, it's a performance, an emotion, a memory. But let's be honest, why does the very idea of public speaking make us sweat? Because of anxiety stage fear. And the biggest fear of all, what if I bore the audience? First rule, calm the storm. Within your speech doesn't start on stage, it starts with your inner calm. Try deep breathing meditation, Jacobson's muscle relaxation, or any technique that helps you manage stress. A relaxed mind, confident tone, powerful delivery. Now let's break down the 8 golden pillars of every unforgettable presentation. Novelty, be different, be remembered. People remember what stands out from the crowd. From your outfit to your slides, add uniqueness everywhere. If you wear gray, you'll disappear in a gray crowd. Emotions, speak from the heart. A speaker's greatest weapon is their tone, energy, and passion. Even if your words aren't perfect, if your voice has soul, the audience will remember you. Being memorable, use the power of a punchline. I have a dream. Just those words bring an entire scene to mind. Craft a punchline in your talk that connects the idea straight to the heart. Logos, connect to the mind. Audiences don't want just feelings, they want facts too. As Gallo says, your conclusions must follow your data. Use strong arguments. Visual graphs. A logical flow. Let people say, this speaker doesn't just talk, they explain. Ethos. Earn their trust. Socrates didn't sell fake truths. He asked questions, sparked thought, and let people discover the truth themselves. No fake drama, no manipulation, just real credibility. Be honest, be clear, and let your integrity shine. Pathos. Speak to the heart. People might forget facts, but they never forget feelings. Share a personal story. Let compassion show in your voice. Speak from the heart, not just the script. Gallo's formula proves it. 65% pathos, 25% logos, 10% ethos. 18-minute rule. Less is powerful, TED Talks taught us. Small speech, big impact. Say in 18 minutes what others can't in an hour. Don't bore the audience. Intrigue them. Cover max 3 topics. Respect the brain's limits. According to George Miller's psychology, we can only remember 7 plus or minus 2 units at a time. TED curators suggest stick to 3 core ideas per talk. So always remember 3 ideas, 18 minutes 1, punchline, and a whole lot of passion. Final thought, now it's your turn. Now that you have all the techniques, science, and secrets, the next time you walk on stage or record your voiceover for YouTube, don't just deliver a speech, start a movement. Create a memory, craft your own TED moment. Stay with BookBlink, where stories aren't just told, they're lived.